I'm going to walk you through the state of Google Ads suspensions in 2025. Why are advertisers being suspended? How many are getting suspended? How long is it taking to fix suspensions? And much more. And if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to see the article we published with the data and information that goes into this. And for your context, if you're wondering who am I and why am I talking about Google suspensions, my name is John and I'm the CEO of StubGroup. We are a Google Premier partner and we've been helping advertisers fix Google suspensions and stay compliant with Google's policies for over a decade. And much of the data in this study that we're releasing here comes from first-party data that we have based upon the many advertisers who reach out to us looking for help. So let's dig in. First of all, why does Google suspend accounts? So there's lots of different policies that Google says that people violate and why they suspend those accounts. The most common reasons that we're seeing in 2025 for account suspensions would be, first of all, circumventing systems. About 38% of the suspensions that we're seeing revolve around circumventing systems. Then you've got about 20% are unacceptable business practices, then suspicious payment activity, and then counterfeit goods, compromised site / malware / malicious or unwanted software, and so forth. So the top two for sure, circumventing systems and unacceptable business practices. Circumventing is a broad policy, but kind of has to do with Google thinks that you are gaming the system in some way. And then unacceptable business practices has more to do with your actual business model and concerns Google has about how you operate, who you are, whether you can actually fulfill the services you're providing or advertising to users, and so forth. How many ad accounts are being suspended? Well, Google releases these numbers once per year, so we don't have the numbers yet for 2025. For 2024, we know that they suspended about 39.2 million advertiser accounts, which was a massive increase versus the 12.7 million they suspended in 2023. They also blocked or removed about 5.1 billion ads, which is actually down slightly compared to the 5.5 billion ads that they blocked in 2023. And then they also restricted another 9.1 billion ads. Now, they don't release information about Google Merchant Centers, which are a vital part of advertising for e-commerce businesses. We've kind of done some extrapolations based upon the numbers that we have access to, and we're estimating that they may have suspended as many as 11.7 million Google Merchant Centers last year, 2024. Now, that's not a for sure number, that's an extrapolation, but we think it's quite possible based upon the data that we have access to. And then Google also does a lot of suspending of Google Business Profiles, which is not a paid Google product, although it does connect to some paid Google products, but it's very important for local advertisers who are trying to get traffic from their geographic vicinity. And we don't have a good estimate for how many of those have been suspended, but we do know that there was an uptick in those suspensions, especially in early 2025, where Google was very aggressively suspending a lot of Google Business Profiles. In terms of, so we covered kind of why ad accounts are suspended, some of those top policies that Google is hitting. In terms of merchant centers, by far the primary policy that Google references when suspending them is what they call misrepresentation, which is a super broad policy that covers all types of different things. But we see about 90% of merchant center suspensions being related to misrepresentation. Then some of the other more common ones are things like counterfeit goods, or that the website needs improvement, or various tax and shipping related discrepancies. On the Google Business side of things, some of the most common reasons for suspension are violating quality guidelines or deceptive content. And we definitely see Google more likely to suspend a Google Business Profile after a change is made to it. So for example, if you change your address or your phone number, your business name or something like that, that often prompts a review, and sometimes those reviews result in suspensions. Google also at times suspends ad accounts for multiple different reasons. So some of the more common combinations that we see would be an account suspended for both circumventing systems as well as unacceptable business practices, or circumventing systems plus compromised website, as well as some other combinations. And then we also see a fair number of verification suspensions. So these are issues related to Google's advertiser verification and business operations verification programs, where you have to submit information to Google about your business and about how you operate to keep advertising on their platform. And if you don't go through that successfully, either if you don't submit information or Google doesn't accept the information that you submit, then they temporarily suspend your account until you're able to go through that successfully. And so we see and help with a lot of those as well. Another big issue that advertisers face right now is limited ad serving. This is not an actual suspension of the ad account. Ads can still run, but with limitations. Essentially, Google blocks you from receiving a lot of the impressions that you otherwise could have received. And there are a number of reasons to go into this. Most often, this happens to advertisers who are targeting some type of branded keyword. Maybe they're a reseller for a brand, maybe they're targeting competitors, something along those lines. The keywords they're targeting are brand related, and that's the most common reason for them to get limited. And it's something that you can appeal, and at times we see success appealing it, but it is tricky and difficult, and we've also certainly seen situations where advertisers have not successfully appealed the limited ad serving issue, and their ads have been massively limited for that reason. In terms of what some of the, let's say, the hot types of businesses that Google tends to suspend at higher rates, you have industries like affiliates, dropshippers, healthcare-related businesses, finance-related businesses, especially cryptocurrency, adult-related businesses, flight resellers, gaming and casinos, kind of life/wealth coaches and gurus, and garage door repair and locksmiths. Those are some of the top types of verticals that we see Google suspending. But we also see Google suspend literally any type of business that you can think of. So the suspensions are not limited to those verticals, they're just more common in those verticals. Some people wonder if working with an agency is a way to protect your ad account from being suspended. And the short answer is it's not. We have many agencies who reach out to us for help who have had their ad account suspended that they're running on behalf of clients. Sometimes this is because of problems with how the agencies run things. So for example, if they are advertising multiple different advertisers from the same ad account, that's a problem. It actually is a violation of Google's policies, and it also just puts everyone in that account at risk, because if one website has an issue and that ad account is suspended for that reason, then everyone being advertised from that account is also suspended. And then of course there are just plenty of other reasons that have nothing to do with the agency per se, but that would cause the ad accounts being managed by an agency to be suspended. Google is also rolling out, or has rolled out, new transparency features in their ads. For many advertisers now, Google explicitly says in the ad who is paying for the ad. You can click the three little dots that you see in the top right-hand corner when you see a Google ad to see that ad transparency information about who is running and who is paying for ads. There are definitely a lot of kind of hack attempts, different things going on in Google space. Earlier this year, and I think late 2024, there was an issue where phishers were they're running ads pretending to be Google ads. They were capturing login from people who thought they were logging into the Google Ads platform, but were actually just sending their credentials to these phishing companies or individuals, and then they would compromise ad accounts and then use those ad accounts to run more ads in kind of a daisy chain effect. So Google caught that and seems to have cracked down on that, but that type of issue is always popping up. Google's always playing a whack-a-mole with bad actors using Google's ecosystem, which is why Google is so paranoid and aggressive at suspending ad accounts, because there are a lot of people trying to use ad accounts maliciously. A lot of people often also ask, how long does it take for Google to accept appeals? I can say that based upon our internal data, it's taking a median of around 32 days to fix Google suspensions. Now, there are some caveats there, because a lot of our data is based upon people who have reached out to us for help after they haven't been successful themselves at fixing suspensions. So if they were coming to us first without taking time and sometimes creating more problems by trying to fix a problem themselves, then we would probably see faster turnaround times. But in terms of the data we have access to, about 32 days is the median time right now. We do see faster review times from Google because they are using AI much more heavily to review appeals. It's not necessarily a good thing, because the AI often is not understanding nuance as well and just quickly kicking back a rejection, which makes it even more difficult to get suspended accounts fixed, and it makes it all the more important how you structure your appeals and what you say in them to try and explain to the system, often to an AI who's reading that appeal, what went wrong, how you fixed it, and how you're going to move forward. Google has also been playing around with changing their appeals forms, especially for appealing circumventing system suspensions, and they are limiting the ability at times to include documentation with appeals, and they are also at times, especially in kind of follow-up appeals, they are limiting the amount of information that you can just submit to Google and kind of restructuring how they ask questions. So this is part of their ongoing changes that they're constantly making to their system, in theory to improve and make it better, although sometimes it actually makes it harder to use. We've also seen an increase in situations where the ability to request a review of a suspended Google Merchant Center goes away. There's usually a button in your Google Merchant Center you can click to request a review, and sometimes that goes away, and Google actually says that you can't request a review. Now, that's not technically correct. We still have workarounds and ways we can request reviews that we use and have been successful in requesting reviews. But it definitely is a little more tricky and can be very misleading to advertisers when they see, oh, I can't request a review anymore. Does that mean I'm permanently suspended? And then, of course, Google has made it harder to fix suspended accounts because you can no longer make changes in ad accounts. This changed back in June of 2024. Prior to that, you could actually fix things, change ads and whatnot in your account as part of trying to fix the problem that caused a suspension. Then Google put a freeze on things, so you can no longer make changes in accounts, and now you simply have to explain what you will change in the future after the account is unsuspended when you submit your appeals. And so in terms of, to kind of wrap things up here, the process that you need to take when your ad account is suspended is auditing your ad account to figure out if there's an issue in there, auditing your website, because often suspensions have to do with websites, and also taking a look at your online footprint and reputation, because Google's also researching you and looking at third-party sources when making decisions about suspending accounts. And if you would like help with any of that, first of all, we have a lot of free guides in our free policy center on our website that you can go check out and download to get help with fixing suspensions. And of course, you can hire us to fix a suspension for you. We have an entire team who does nothing all day, every day, but fix suspensions. And we would love to help you get back online if you are dealing with a suspension yourself.